The phrase, Night of the Living Dead, is the sort of magical word cluster that most writers dream of creating. It immediately drops a gluey bomb of unforgettableness into the mind of anyone who hears it. No one recalls the first time they encountered the name. It has a kind of simple template of words everyone just feels a vague awareness of. It's scary, but also kind of classy. Unfortunately, the brilliance of this title was in some ways directly diminished by the fact that using it, because of a series of events both idiotic and heartbreaking, caused the rights to be forever deleted, and thus the film to go into public domain. A truly sad note to an otherwise triumphant story, that in a way is almost fitting that a film so influential and culturally significant almost immediately got elevated to the status of other public domain classics, foundational texts, so interwoven into the culture that they almost go unnoticed themselves. Independent cinema, social commentary and horror, mockumentaries, midnight movies, gross-out, post-apocalyptic works, and of course the entire modern conception of cinematic zombies are all very full and rich modern traditions. They trace their lineage to a 1968 black-and-white movie filmed in Pittsburgh about a set of regular folks in a farmhouse beset by ghouls, desperately trying to board and block them out. But despite their best efforts, the Ghouls, not unlike the various modes of social unrest that characterized the decade in which these people were living, couldn't be kept from getting in the house.
Welcome to Kale Your Idols with your hosts, Elena Gibson and Sam Ludwig.
All right, so Night of the Living Dead. We're talking about this classic cinematic masterpiece, in my opinion. I'm just jumping off the gate.
Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, I wish that your face could have been visible when people were doing this. Both the setup to it and then the actual face you made was pretty creepy.
I was very concentrated on the voice.
Yeah, that was like one of those outtakes where an actor is just like super in it and stuff, and they have to clench themselves and pour all of their concentration into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not good at bits, so it's like if I do a bit, which I'm gonna call that a bit. It wasn't really a bit, I'm gonna call it a bit. But like I gotta put everything into it. It's like I was thinking about it all day. Like I even practiced a couple different voices. That one I didn't practice, I just kind of went with it.
What were the voices that you practiced?
I think I was ending up doing a little bit of a riff-raff voice, like from Rocky Horror.
Okay,
right. Practiced that one.
I guess he's kind of doing a bit of a Night of the Living Dead voice. He's kind of doing that kind of like, "Yes, Barbara."
That's true. He is. Yeah. With like a weird British thing going on.
Yeah, I guess both of those. Do you want to talk about that line? Or do you want to just keep going about your
No, we don't have to talk about
your preparation.
My prep. we can talk about the actual movie that we're talking about.
No, but I think that's great that brought this out in you, this desire to sort of act in and get in on the show, because Night of the Living Dead is such a DIY, like let's all get together and make a movie experience. Yeah,
I mean, so I guess I'm not even like evoking the movie itself. I'm evoking like the way these movies are presented. If you're watching, late night movie and the television host comes on and introduces the movie. I mean, this doesn't happen anymore, but that's how I picture it happening. You watch like an old-timey trailer and just some random voice says like, Night of the Living Dead, and so
that was a very scary voice. Night of the Living Dead.
That was my riff-raff.
That was good. No, but yeah, like I think that voice that it's commenting on, it's pretty interesting. Night of the Living Dead, it's been called, sort of one of the first postmodern horror movies. In some ways, it actually exists weirdly, even though it exists in a world in which the characters don't have the word zombies on their vocabulary, and in fact that word is never uttered around this movie. They do have an awareness of horror tropes, or at least Johnny does in the beginning. He's doing a bit that's like a Vincent Price, like, oh, it's like we're in a horror movie. We're out here in this graveyard. They're coming to get you, Barbara. He's like playing on her understanding of this idea of what it means to be scared in the way that the movie's about to enact on you.
And you have to have that. You have to have that awareness of how horror movies have been so far, because one of the important things about this movie is how it changes what you expect to happen.
Yeah.
Like who you expect to die, who you expect to survive, how the storyline goes. And it's weird because now the thing that Night of the Living Dead does is so common for any horror movie.
Right.
They're always turning it on its head that it's no longer interesting because that's exactly what you expect. That's like the way horror movies are supposed to go. But Night of the Living Dead created that, and it's all just building off of the things that came before it.
Yeah, I remember in The Walking Dead, which I watched a little bit of, and it's a show that was sort of okay. Like, it was always kind of like the same. But they didn't get to the Night of the Living Dead scenario until the third season. The third season, they come upon this sort of idyllic farmhouse, and they have this tight-knit, small story where you're dealing with that. That was something they had to come to. Because it seemed like so, we've moved so beyond it, and just to have the elegant simplicity of what this movie accomplishes has gotten so overshadowed by just like zombies,
Right, yeah, a lot of people say that Walking Dead just totally rips off a lot of things about Night of the Living Dead, but then just takes out the soul of it, and it just makes it all about zombies are coming after you, and it's an action flick.
So this movie created a lot of things, right? It created the idea, as we said, of zombies, the modern cinematic zombie idea.
And zombies existed before.
Yeah, you want to describe sort of the old version and the new?
The idea was from the Haitian voodoo stories. Yeah, and it didn't even involve people dying and then coming back to life. It was like you performed like a voodoo ritual on them to convert like a living person into a zombie, and then you could basically enslave them this way.
Mind control and hypnosis.
Right.
Too, in a way.
Right. And so there were some movies that had that.
Right.
Like White Zombie and a couple other movies.
I Walked with a Zombie.
But this flesh-eating, like you're dead and then you come back to life and you're walking slowly and you have to get shot in the head to die, that all came from Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Well, I will say, Plan 9 from Outer Space did have people who were rising up from the grave.
That's true. This movie has a whiff of that, but this movie is like what Ed Wood wished he made.
I think Ed Wood was very happy with his movies.
He was very happy with his movies, but I feel like, the idea of... I think Ed Wood certainly was somebody who... Do you think Ed Wood cared about, like, wanting to make, like a quality movie?
I think he thought he was making quality movies.
Well, I guess it's just like, what do you think, like, the expectation... Because George Romero and his production company, The Latent Image, and his partner, John Russo, they just sort of put together this company that was revolutionary even before Night of the Living Dead, that was just, in terms of commercials, like filming commercials as film, as we think of as now, right, in these industrial films. Before commercials, like, used to just be like two characters in a sitcom or whatever having a fight, and then they're like, turn to the camera and they're like, but now I'd like to take a second and talk to you about X-Lax. Well, a lot of us, like the characters in this show, have some and it would just be like the person, it just be this kind of amazing experience that I actually really wish we could do sometimes in movies or TV shows we have now. But like, they kind of, were on the forefront of that, similar to sort of like Salvatore Romano and Mad Men, of like, hey, like let's get into like making little movies and films of commercials to do this. And so they started this production company that was Pittsburgh based, and they also did some work for Mr. Rogers, such as the film Things That Are Soft.
What is that?
I just assume it's Mr. Rogers going through things that are soft.
Just like touching soft things and getting really into it. Like kind of like an ASMR type thing, but like for tactile ways.
Right. Is there a part, do you think, where he's like, and this here's a brick? No, that's not it. Let me tell you, not soft at all. Like, this is, a lot of people will tell you that a brick is soft. They also did Mr. Rogers' famous Tonsillectomy, a film, which is kind of an interesting piece of early television. But anyways.
Well, I don't know. I love the Mr. Rogers time. Like, apparently they stayed friends after working together, Romero and Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers came and saw Night of the Living Dead and all of the other Romero zombie flicks, and he liked them. He thought they were nice. And
they teach lessons about society.
And Romero was he had a reputation for being like really nice to his fans at conventions and stuff. And I read this one article that was like, it's probably because Mr. Rogers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I wonder if he had one of those experiences like that guy in the Tom Hanks movie.
There was one thing about the Mr. Rogers thing that kind of like stuck with me that Romero wanted to have one of the actresses from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Betty Aberlin, play Barbara. But Mr. Rogers said no. And just the idea of Mr. Rogers controlling this actress's fate and deciding for her which things she was and was not allowed. And like that to me is just a little,
The Machiavellian heart of Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, like I know he's like all of our heroes and stuff.
He's not my hero. I think he's overrated as a hero.
His sweaters are just so comforting.
Yeah, you're rubbing yourself right now. You're sort of rubbing your shoulders.
I want his sweater around me. Like
Would you want a hug from Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, I'm sure I wanted a hug when I was little. I used to watch it every day, so I bet I wanted a hug from him.
I watched it, and I guess it was one of those things. It was like Doug, but not Doug. Actively was like, I was like, this is too squishy. Even when I was like a little kid, Mr. Rogers, I was like, this is squishy but kind of good. But as an adult, I like it, but I hate the cult of Mr. Rogers. I am in the cult of George Romero, even though I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I haven't even seen all of the Dead movies.
This is the only.
We started watching Dawn of the original Dawn of the Dead. And
was it too scary?
5 minutes in, it was just too gross.
Yeah, I remember now.
I always loved Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead, this is one of my favorite movies. Like, for a long time, it was like my number one favorite movie. Now I typically think of it, it's within my top 3 or 4, you know. It was a movie that I had, you know, an extremely formative experience around the time when I think it was, for me, connected to my interest in independent film as a kid. It's kind of like Clerks, or it has that sort of Jim Jarmusch kind of
black and white.
Black and white. Okay, this is actually something I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's have a black and white discussion, because Elena's got some thoughts about black and white movies, and
yes.
I want to know what you think about it.
Okay, so I feel like nowadays shooting your movie in black and white is an easy way to try and make your film seem interesting.
Name 2 movies from the past 10 years that you could think of that were shot in black and white.
Francis Ha.
And?
The Shakespeare one.
Oh, yeah, right. Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can think of one more. I genuinely can't think of another one.
The Artist.
The Artist. That's the other one I can think of.
Yeah, but that one had a reason to be.
Has a reason to be in black and white. I don't know. I think that you think of it as this crush that people do, but I think of it as this bold choice that people rarely do, and that has a lot of aesthetic benefits and a lot of drawbacks, and it's not something that causes people to be like, oh, I want to see this because it's black and white. It causes a lot of people to not want to see it.
Yeah, it causes a lot of people to not want to see it, but that's not the audience it's really going for. It's like trying to seem very artistic. And to me, if that's all it has going for it, then it's just pretentious. And I think it needs to have a reason to be in black and white nowadays.
Well, I can't think of a movie that's in black and white that to me doesn't feel like it has a reason to be in black and white.
Francis Ha. Maybe
Francis Ha's is, you know what, it's kind of arguable. Like, I rewatched that movie. I thought I really liked it when I first saw it. And it's definitely not my favorite Noah Baumbach movie. It's not even my favorite Greta Gerwig movie. I do think that you're right that movie does have a whiff of that pretentiousness. I mean, it's also pretty much just going for Manhattan, which is an interesting reference point increasingly to want to have for your movie.
But okay,
but anyways, black and white, Night of the Living Dead.
For this movie, it just adds so much, in my opinion, and like it's totally warranted. Like I know in the first they did it partly out of budget reasons,
similar to why with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It's like makeup reasons.
Yeah, and that's like a valid reason. Yeah. Like, I think that's a fine reason to shoot your thing in black and white. If you are like, I can't afford to have all the sets to make these colors pop the way I want to, or, you know, worry about the different color palettes, then black and white is a great option for that. But Romero also thought that it better reflected the newsreels at the time.
Totally.
Because the news was still in black and white in the 60s, and so that's kind of what he was going for, and like Vietnam news updates and... Yeah, so that totally makes sense. And he mentioned, like, the textures he got, and it's true. It's a beautiful movie, and it does add to the gore and the horror.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It makes the fire look so cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that the newsreel footage, it's a movie that feels extremely intentional. You know, like, it feels like... It's a movie that I watched, again, as fairly young, and... So I think we're going to have to go ahead and jump right into the fact that it's got a black lead, Dwayne Jones, right? And the movie doesn't comment on that, although it's extremely present for you within the context of the character dynamics. Not so much that it becomes the focus of the movie, but there's a number of touches that sort of allude to it without it ever being overt, right? And you could argue about whether this movie should have made more of a specific point about the racial dynamics. And Romero himself has said in recent years, he's like, I think maybe I should have a little bit more. But he thought at the time that it was the more, as he would put it, sort of like hip, like thing to not comment on it. And I'm sure that that was extremely revolutionary for a lot of people at the time. And even to me, watching this movie in like 99 or 2000 or something, watching an old movie like this, it struck me as very notable, even in the modern era.
Romero thought that it was going to be one of the first movies ever to have a black actor getting cast in a role without it at all being for race-based reasons.
Yeah.
It's actually not true. Apparently, Sidney Poitier did this first in the 1965 movie The Bedford Incident when he was playing a reporter, according to an article I read. But still, obviously, it's, there were only a couple movies that have ever done this. So that, for sure, is in itself a revolutionary thing.
There had to be a movie like that at some point.
Yeah.
But
I do feel like Romero, he's a little too precious about what he wanted to say in the movie. And I personally believe that regardless of what the people who created the movie were going for, that art, especially movies, but all art, exist independent of the way in which they were created. And you still should think about how they were created and why, but like they also can take on a meaning of their own. And I get the sense that Romero kind of resented a little bit the degree to which everybody felt like it was commenting on race.
Oh, really? I never got that impression. Because all of his movies have some political dimension.
Yeah, that's true. They do. Like I remember reading about Season of the Witch, where, it's a housewife dabbling in magic and exploring feminism and eventually getting rid of her abusive husband.
Yeah. And all of the Dead movies are very explicitly commenting on society. Dawn of the Dead is all about consumerism. Diary of the Dead is all about, like, the rise of, YouTube and stuff. Like, he's always, like, taking on very directly some sort of thing. You could argue in Night of the Living Dead it's a little unfocused. And his thing that he's taking on is just, like, the 60s, man. Hasn't it been a crazy trip? We blew it.
There's this quote I read in an article from 2016 where somebody asked, when you return to Night of the Living Dead, does it feel like a political film in retrospect? And he said, it does not. I can see why it seemed that way, but it doesn't seem that way right now to me. Maybe it's because I can't erase the things that were in our minds when we were making the film. Forget race. It was all about people stuck in a situation where the world is changing outside. Clearly there was substantive. Oh my God. You just say that right. Substantive change happening, and these guys were still arguing about going upstairs, downstairs, blah, blah, blah. That's all I see in it.
Yeah, that's a weird quote. I've never heard him say anything like that. I've only heard him say basically like, we thought that we were doing an interesting choice to like, he was obviously aware of the fact that they were casting a black lead. But he was like, I thought that we were doing the more interesting choice. Dwayne Jones definitely did a lot to shape the character. Romero has always explicitly said this. Dwayne really made it his own and was, by Romero's admission, much more sensitive to the racial aspects of this. Mm-hmm. And that Romero has wondered if he should go back and if he would do it again, that he would change it. But I don't know. Maybe he's had volatile thoughts. It does seem like I feel like he got more political. Like, his films got more overtly political. Night of the Living Dead is so subtextual in a beautiful way, but I wonder if he felt compelled to, like, because people were reading so much into Night of the Living Dead that he was like, well, maybe they want me to be more political. But I feel like he was very explicitly progressive and had an agenda as far as his thinking. Yeah,
I mean, I think he was trying to do a socio-political thing in the first place. It's just I don't think it was about race, and I think that he is still stuck on this other thing. And I think it's just interesting. They tried to remake it in 1990, and he was involved in that.
Right.
And they went with a different ending.
Yes.
They still had a black actor playing the lead, but what happens, from what I've read, is, and you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
That Harry Cooper shoots him, and then he becomes a zombie.
So, I didn't remember that he got shot, but that makes sense.
So it's a different ending, and it's
he's a victim of Harry Cooper's racism in that?
I guess you could, I
don't remember if the movie explicitly is about that. I would not be surprised if it was, though, because that's one of the things you'd want to embellish more in the movie.
Right. But I think that the original ending is so effective that you don't necessarily need to hit it any harder. I think that having it the other way, where Harry kills him, is not any more of a, commentary than the original ending.
No, I think that it's a movie that is a product of its time and is a movie that holds that was willing to sort of hold a certain amount of, weight on its shoulders as far as, pioneering with this colorblind casting, but at the same time is also but don't, I'm not the savior of the world, man. I'm kind of doing Romero personified as the movie, just kind of trying to make a buck, make a statement, man. I can't speak for how it's enjoyed by black people, but it's certainly not a movie that I feel has gained a aura of being problematic.
Yeah, I don't think it has.
You know?
Yeah. And maybe that is because Dwayne Jones was very involved in deciding what happens and what doesn't happen. I don't think that Romero has gained a reputation of, being problematic, like you said. But because the movie it had such a place in the time for this. Even if it wasn't trying to comment on race, it did.
I almost am just inclined to think that Romero's lying. No, seriously, because it is so there. And I don't know, maybe he feels like it would take some of the power away if he acted if he sort of got through all the decisions, the moment by moment where he's oh yeah, and you can be looking like a real redneck guy which was obviously what he was thinking, you know what I mean? Maybe he was thinking more like protesters and stuff with the posse.
I don't know, because they didn't have a big budget, right? So Pittsburgh police donated personnel and equipment for this. So they got real people who just were there.
They were just being themselves.
Yeah. I think that the reason why it seems so realistic is because those were real people who lived in the outskirts of Pittsburgh. That's what they looked like. That's what they were acting like, And I believe Romero when he said it was accidental. I think Romero, at some point, was thinking maybe it would be too dark or too much, and so he was thinking of having an alternative ending, but Dwayne Jones fought against that alternative ending that would have ended up saving Ben, the main character who he played, because he said that he thought the black community would rather see me dead than saved after all that had gone on in a corny and symbolically confusing way. The heroes never die in American movies. The jolt of that, and the double jolt of the hero being black, seemed like a double-barreled whammy.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is it feels like Dwayne Jones was intentionally putting this in the movie.
Yeah.
Dwayne
Jones, for sure.
Yeah.
I think he was, and okay, I think this is super interesting.
Yeah.
It was written in the script, apparently, that Barbara was supposed to slap Ben 3 times. And Dwayne Jones was okay, she can slap me once. I'm gonna punch
the shit out of her right in her face.
He fucking whams her.
Yeah,
and it's so weird watching that part because seeing a woman get hit so violently.
Well, no, and this is a year after the Sidney Poitier slaps back a man, the rich guy in The Heat of the Night. Yeah. And that's a big, powerful thing. And this is so much more of a thing.
Yeah, he just wails on her and it's a woman but the thing is okay, so I should say we watched this. The date is October 24th, 2021. It is Halloween next weekend. So we wanted to film or record this episode because it's a scary movie. And we actually just had a Halloween movie marathon with family and friends last weekend. So we put this in the middle of it. And we were live chatting with my family as we were watching it. And everybody in the live chat cheered when Barbara got hit. And it's
and this is mostly, a lot of women.
Yeah, women, non-binary.
Non-binary. And
we're not the type of family to condone violence against women ever. But, Barbara is such a useless character. And of course,
Ben is so great.
Yes. That's
you're just on his side more than most characters. I mean, and this is a real thing, that this is something that's pretty unique about Night of the Living Dead in general, is horror movies that have heroes in them.
Yeah, that's true.
Evil Dead, Ash and Evil Dead, obviously, perhaps the most famous version of this, and that becomes kind of almost a different thing in a lot of ways. But yeah, Ben is up there. Just one of the, he's not being victimized. He's extremely capable, and that's what makes it so much scarier, because you know that it's not even going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think it's such an amazing effect that I'm the type of person who gets really scared watching scary movies. I just get so much anxiety, especially like zombie-related ones, although, they're not called zombies in this movie, they're ghouls. But that idea of like slow things slowly coming after you creeps me out.
You don't like slowness?
No, I get...
Would the blob scare you a lot?
Oh, I'm sure I got scared by the blob. I had a lot of anxiety when I was younger playing Pac-Man because those ghosts like slowly coming after you.
But the scary part is when they get fast.
I was almost more scared when they were slow. There's just slow, like ever progressing thing towards you. It just freaks me out.
At some point we'll just Return of the Living Dead. I'll see what you think about that. Anyways, Go on.
Are they fast?
Yeah, that's the John Russo movie, because Living Dead wasn't copyrighted.
Right.
Which we'll get into more later, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did his own movie, and the zombies talk and can trick you and are fast, and it's like this whole thing.
I don't want talking zombies.
It's good. It's good. Anyway, sorry. Sorry.
Well, but okay, so I have a lot of anxiety watching it, especially in the beginning, but then as soon as Ben comes into the movie...
Yeah, right.
It puts me, the audience watching this, at ease. Because
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I feel safer watching this with Ben in it now. Especially once they board the windows up in the house. Yeah. It's like, it creates this amazing effect of like you being able to breathe for a second and be like, okay, we're going to do some like character exploration right now. Like,
we're just going to chill out in the farmhouse, man.
We can like forget about the zombies for a little. We can just relax with the characters, and it feels so much safer once they're inside the house. Speaking
of what you wrote, it's like, my friends wrote a Night of the Living Dead musical. There's also an opera. It's been heavily adapted, I'm sure, because of a lack of copyright. And no zombies in the musical, because you can just do that. But they're just outside. Like
they're supposed to be. Yeah. They're outside, but you don't.
You're just in the farmhouse dealing with this stuff, and it works totally fine. Yeah. There's just like sound effects and stuff, and there's just moments of actors sort of having monologues and describing what's going on, and
that's the great thing about it is that the story versus plot thing.
Yeah.
There's the plot of the zombies, but the story of what the characters are dealing with each other.
The story of what's it like to watch the news together. What's it like to watch the Kennedy assassination together.
I did have this weird experience of watching, so they listen to the radio and they watch the news, and then it's repeating so much.
And it's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's so
good.
And it's just like repeating things over and over again, and then slowly giving you new details as it goes along, and it's just like really reminded me of the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
And just like scouring the news and reading the same shit over and over again, but like slowly new information trickles in.
It's that thing, it's 9/11, Kennedy assassination. Yeah. It's that total 60s, 24-hour news cycle beginning, Vietnam.
Yeah.
People sitting around. It really reminded me, I've always felt like the looking for like, what were they, like hideout locations? Places that were boarded up and stuff. It reminded me like waiting around for school closings to find out like which school
where
they flash different towns,
like during snow days.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were we talking about? What in God's name are we talking about?
Feeling calmed once they're inside the house.
Yes, right. Ben feeling calmed.
Yeah.
The boarding up. It's so nice just to watch people working together, even though Barbara's kind of useless. But just, what do we do next? We board up the windows. Okay, we can board up the windows.
I liked seeing the hodgepodge of wood and like the ironing board and stuff. Like boarding up the window. That was cool. I liked seeing that.
No, you're totally right. Like there's something about it that like the movie, well, I guess we can go back to the beginning because this is really tying into what I'm talking about, which is that the movie just like unfolds.
Yeah.
Like as it's going on, and it's like, what we do next? And it's like, well, we make a Molotov cocktail. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, and then you do it, and it looks like that, and you throw it out there, and that's what it would look like.
Yeah,
and
they make a plan, they execute it, they deal with the consequences.
It goes wrong in predictable ways, and but
but some things happen upon them. Like suddenly there's a family downstairs that they were unaware of.
Right. That's a great twist. Like you don't see that coming.
Yeah.
But right. It's like, where would they come from? Of course, inside the house.
Yeah. But you want to go back to the beginning.
I guess, right, yeah. So basically it's just like this classic opening, opens on a shot of a very zigzaggy looking road, kind of like a Z.
What?
You
think that was on purpose? No,
I don't think it was on purpose, but I think it adds to it on another level.
I'll have to rewatch the opening scene and look for that Z.
It's got this amazing soundtrack and sound work in general. They took a soundtrack from like B movies from the 50s, right? It's like a lot of like kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know that Carl Hardman, who plays Harry Cooper, picked out a lot of the music and kind of like changed it to fit.
Well, he and Mrs. Cooper had the audio equipment. They had the audio company, and they also did makeup. They were also makeup artists, too.
Yeah, especially Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah.
Marilyn Eastman. They were part of the original group that chipped in $600 each. There were like 10 of them to get the movie started. So they were one of the founding members of the movie.
No, it's true. This movie was like such like a hometown effort too. Like it was a thing where like they had like a local, like the newscaster guy in the movie was a local newscaster, and he was just like prepping the local Pittsburgh people for this. He would be saying like, hey, we're making this movie, Night of the Living Dead. It's gonna be the first Pittsburgh movie, and he's just kind of like building up like interest and stuff. And they got investors, and there's the famous story about Russell Streiner, the guy who played Johnny, winning their audio mix in a chess game, and stuff. Yeah.
Did you hear about this story about? You know how there's a naked ghoul. A lot of times when they show clips from the movie, they show this naked chick, because if the people are coming back to life, then obviously there'll be people from the morgue who are naked.
Right.
And so they got some local artist's model to do it. But word got out that there was going to be a naked extra on set.
Oh, God.
So people from the town set up lawn chairs around to watch the filming of the scene because they wanted to watch this.
You tell me there's going to be a naked lady?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. But, yeah. So it was a very local movie. A lot of... I also read that... for their extras, they had a couple people, like ad executives, participate.
People they'd made commercials with.
Yeah, and that they were old. They described them as some old for conservative suit and tie people who were among the people who were like biting into intestines and stuff like that. And they were surprised about how much they were getting into it.
Yeah, George Romero's he's like, if you hire somebody to be a zombie, you can know that they'll be willing to do some weird shit.
Right.
Like, he's like, I would never do that. But if you hire somebody to be a zombie in your movie, they're like, yeah. He also says he gives no direction to zombies because he's like, just do whatever.
The extras were figuring it out. They were the ones who created so many of the zombie tropes. Like
it's
how
true.
To walk like a zombie and move and stuff.
That first guy in the cemetery, he's the guy that kind of created zombies in a way, like that guy.
Yeah.
But so it's this thing where a brother and sister, always an interesting dynamic to see portrayed in a film, I guess, who are going to visit the cemetery. And they're having an interesting conversation about the value of remembering the dead.
Yeah. And also relating to religion.
Yes.
Like,
Well, Johnny says, of course, hey, listen, praying's for church, you know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, come on now, church was this morning, Huh?
Yeah, and I was wondering as I watched that, like,
Morals
I never
declining.
thought about this. Like, what is the movie trying to say about religion? I don't think it's trying to say anything about religion at all
gay,
during
do you
any
think?
other parts of it. Do you think Johnny's
Not
gay?
much use in me going to church, if you know what I'm saying. Like, he throws some very knowing, things.
I don't know.
Anyways, maybe he's like, not much use in me going to church. I've been living with my girlfriend for a year or something. It's in. Anyway.
Well, it is an interesting little comment on religion that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie at all.
Well, but I think that it's something about... Well, so first of all, do you feel like... I mean, we can get the obligatory, what do you think about graves? Do you want to be buried?
I don't know. I mean... I should say that I want to be cremated and scattered.
You want to be buried, you sick.
But I do kind of want to be buried. It'd just be nice that if I have a place of my own after I die. But then again,
a place. You still want to have a place after you die.
Look, if
sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you while your desires.
We can never afford to buy our own house, and you best believe when I die, I want a place of my own.
You don't think that what happens if in 200 years they bulldoze over it or?
Well, yeah, of course that's gonna happen, and also in places like Europe, where there's not a bunch of space anymore and a bunch of dead bodies, you when you get buried, you can only be there for 2 years, and then they ship you off somewhere else.
What?
Yeah, there's places like this.
Where do they ship you off to?
I don't know.
Wait. So it's your turn to be in this cemetery?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-year thing.
Right.
However long it is.
That might be kind of healthy. It's Look, you're gonna keep coming here after 2 years to your fucking grandma?
Yeah, I mean, it might be more like 20 years, but I feel like in some places it might be just like 2 years.
2 weeks. You get a solid 2 weeks from thinking back up. You got a lot of dead people.
Oh, but it doesn't even give time for like grass to grow.
It's just like this really like boutique cemetery where there's like just 15 graves that you go to, and it's like everybody's just
highly
getting
exclusive.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to be buried?
No, I don't. But I mean, like this opening conversation that Barbara and Johnny are having, it's like really makes the case. It's like what are they driving, like 3 hours?
Yeah.
To go to the cemetery or something? And Johnny talks about, he's like, I can't even remember what the man looks like anymore and stuff.
But I think it's kind of nice, like, imagine if we didn't have cemeteries. Like, cemeteries are just such a nice visual reminder in everyday life about death.
That's true. I guess I wouldn't want there to be no more cemeteries.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like, where are you going to hang out when you're a kid and you want to feel edgy?
That's true. You gotta have that.
Yeah.
Can't you have an abandoned teen center?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, it's like, it's not, there's no dead people. It's not the same.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other morbid places. I guess you're right. You know, if you take away the cemeteries, the goth kids will have to just do drugs. I don't know. Hang out in their horrible families. I don't know.
But I think it's nice sometimes having the casual reminder of death. Like living amongst the dead.
Do you hold your breath when we go past cemeteries?
I used to a lot.
This conversation is really devolving.
Okay,
sorry.
yeah.
You hold your breath though?
I used to do that.
When you were driving?
Yeah, I used to do that.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore. Were you an ex-goth kid?
I was never goth, but I was into goth boys.
You were into goth boys.
Yeah.
You were
I like that snake bite thing.
Huh?
You know, like the snake bite, like the two piercings under your bottom lip.
Oh, it's called a snake bite?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never dated any goths, unfortunately. They don't like me.
I never dated anybody with a snake bite, but I always wanted to.
I've seen people who had that on their like sternum and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just this situation where these people are in this cemetery, which is kind of a creepy place, and the music is really like, you know, and it's like very just like a sense of dread, but there's no real reason for them to have dread. And then just all of a sudden, Johnny just starts spouting off iconic lines. And he says they're coming to get you, Barbara, in this way where it's like, I don't think that I knew that before I heard it. But the second you hear it, you feel like you've heard it. And it sounds like he's referencing something.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's doing a classic line.
Right.
Which is so weird.
But then it became its own classic line.
Yeah, he like takes this big pause and he just like gets the idea to do it. It's so just like cracking his knuckles and like, all right.
They're coming to get you,
Here I go, you know?
Yeah.
And they were right. It's a classic line.
I mean, that's what makes things iconic is like they're iconic in the moment they happen.
Right. It's true.
And you just recognize when you're watching it, this is iconic. You don't have to wait for 5 years later or 10 years later.
And the movie continues with this kind of stuff. It's got like the cemetery sequence. So basically like this guy is just walking around. He comes over to them, attacks Barbara. Johnny gets in the fray. The guy kills Johnny instantly. He smacks his head on a gravestone. And Barbara like runs down the cemetery, gets in a car. The guy instantly gets in the car. She drives down a hill. It crashes into a tree, and all of these things are just like things that you're watching happening in real time, and you really put in the moment of it. And there's these amazing canted angles that really go with the hillside of the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's what makes the film so artistic feeling, and just these like very basic, you know, shot setups of people running around in these zigzag patterns and just occupying the space and stuff. And I mean, it's this breakneck sequence of just this one guy chasing her kind of slowly, although he's kind of going fast because he's going down a hill. And then she goes into a farmhouse. It's this very like self-consciously mundane and real series of actions leading from one to the next. And you're just completely buying into like, oh, okay, so right, we're in this scenario. Somebody's attacking her. People are attacking.
I think it's interesting how it doesn't take long for a setup. It's like just a couple minutes with the brother and sister, and then immediately zombie attack.
and this is the thing that sort of creeps up on you, I guess, because at first it seems it's like, oh, there's a zombie, and we're just in this isolated place, and like, it'll be okay. And then more zombies come. But once you bring in the news reports, that's where the thing that this movie, almost even more than the invention of the zombie idea invented, the thing this movie really did, was the zombie apocalypse. Right?
Yeah, that's like it happening everywhere.
It happening everywhere. And like, that's the thing, is like the zombies themselves aren't that scary, but it's everybody. Like, there, a million of them is so much worse than one, and there's infinite. amount, right? And just this idea of like a restructuring of society. Everything's changed now. And this is just such an influential concept in general. This is so connected to this kind of like post-millennial idea of preparedness. People would say like, how are you prepared for the zombie apocalypse?
So it's heavily influenced by I Am Legend.
Yes,
Romero
right,
even
that's true.
says that he kind of ripped off I Am Legend.
And you know what Matheson thinks about Night of the Living Dead?
Oh, no. What does he think?
Kind of corny.
Oh, really?
Yes! A movie that, if you've read I Am Legend, I don't know. I think it's a little funny that he would call it that.
I have not read I Am Legend.
Well, have you seen any of the film adaptations?
I've seen the one with Will Smith, and it was scary.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Pretty far, kind of the farthest away from the original source material, even though it has the name of the original source material.
Yeah, but like from that movie, they were zombies in that movie, but apparently they're vampires. They're vampires in the book.
Yeah, the book is this kind of interesting thing. I've seen the original movie, The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. I haven't seen the Omega Man, which I believe a lot of I Am Legend is pulling from. A lot of the movie I Am Legend is pulling from. But yeah, it's just this concept of the whole world has changed. There's one person who's like standing in defiance, and so he's like, I don't want to become a vampire. And he spends his days killing vampires, right? And eventually he finds out that he is this legendary force of evil amongst the vampires. Like he is legend amongst the new society, and that he's sort of out of step with it, right? And Romero's idea in response to this was that this takes away the most interesting aspects of this, which is the collapse. Like, he doesn't want to see the post-apocalyptic thing. He wants to see the apocalypse happening. And over the course of the movies that he makes, you see the various stages of the apocalypse. And in fact, they say they wrote the first 3 movies initially. And Night of the Living Dead is just the first part. Yes, right.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting seeing the different, like, there are different phases of the apocalypse.
There's 28 days later, there's 28 weeks later. You know? Maybe Richard Linklater someday will do 28 years later.
I could see him doing that.
That would be pretty
body farm shit.
That would be pretty wild. Yeah, what Richard Linklater like announces his next project is just a real time the fox decomposing.
Ew, I hate that.
I mean, speaking of disgusting things on film, Night of the Living Dead certainly trying to push the envelope and be kind of touching taboos in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first movies that depicted violent murders on screen.
Violent murders, and another thing that I'll tell you must have been really disturbing is it's not like you shoot at the Wolfman and like the bullet just doesn't do anything. It's like you see the bullet hit them and it doesn't do anything.
That part where they like, he like hammers at the finger.
Yeah, he chops them off.
The fingers fall off with such a dull thudding sound.
Yeah.
And then they just keep coming out like, oh my god.
No, it's so cool. And just that idea must have just been so like difficult to process and truly disturbing. Like just seeing like real violence not making a difference.
Yeah, and it just blows my mind hearing that apparently kids used to see like scary movies because the scary movies weren't that scary and they were kind of like sort of made for kids. So, like, all these kids, like, this was just before the rating system started. This was one of the last movies without a rating. And so all these kids watched this movie. Their parents just dropped them off to see it. And, I can't imagine watching it as a kid.
Roger Ebert, I'm going to read part of his famous review of going to see a kid's matinee. And he essentially calls for censorship in this review. Like, at one point, he's like, I'm not saying I want censorship, but... So, here's a quote from his original review. The kids in the audience were stunned. There was almost complete silence. The movie had stopped being delightfully scary about halfway through and had become unexpectedly terrifying. There was a little girl across the aisle from me, maybe 9 years old, who was sitting very still in her seat and crying. It's hard to remember what sort of effect this movie might have had on you when you were 6 or 7, but try to remember. At that age, kids take the events on screen seriously, and they identify fiercely with the hero. When the hero is killed, that's not an unhappy ending, but a tragic one. Nobody got out alive. It's just over, that's all.
It's very scary. I don't think kids should watch this movie.
What's the right age, do you think, for Night of the Living Dead?
I think teens could watch it. I don't think I could have handled it as a teen. I guess let's take a second to talk about our experiences watching it the first time.
Please. Yes.
So, my first time... So, Sam and I are married, and he has always called this one of his favorite films. Because I get really terrified by scary movies, I get horrible nightmares from them, have never watched it. And he convinced me one Halloween to watch it. So we were up late at night, bed watching it when I had the covers pulled up tight, and Sam falls asleep halfway through. And so now I'm abandoned and watching this movie by myself late at night. And it might have been actually on Halloween, I don't remember, but it was very close to Halloween at the very least. And honestly, I think that was kind of the best way to watch it because, you know, it's not like I was completely by myself. You were right by my side. And I knew that you were the one who recommended this movie to me. And so that added to my enjoyment and my appreciation of like, oh my gosh, I love you so much because this movie's awesome. And I know that you recommended it to me. But I got to have a personal reaction to it.
Right.
Because I was alone when I watched the ending. And it just bowled me over, and I was just weeping, and it's so powerful, and yeah, I just had a really strong reaction to it. And I mean, the same thing happened when you had me watch Passing Strange. You fell asleep in the middle, and you love that movie, and it's an amazing ending, and I was like crying by myself. And so it was like, I don't know, I think that's a perfect way. If you,
It's like a fun thing I do for.
I don't know if you pretend to fall asleep or
I've always got one eye open. No, honestly.
I think everybody should do that for their partners. If there's a movie they love and they know has a powerful ending, start watching it together and then just fall asleep and let them enjoy that movie on their own.
Yeah, I tell people that it's like my favorite movie a lot of the times, and I think it's kind of a deep movie.
Yeah.
And it feels deep. I was not somebody who was very into like post-apocalyptic fiction, but like it was the first movie that made me think about what it would mean to experience somebody that I loved dying and having to not care about them anymore, like having to sort of like try and keep surviving. It's got this real like sort of like dull, achy feeling to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the question of like, how would you behave in this scenario? And you're presented with so many different characters behaving in so many different ways that you've got a lot to compare. Will I be competent like Ben? Would I be a hysterical wreck like Barbara? That is who I would be Barbara.
Would I be just
useless.
sort of bored and and annoyed like Judy? and, okay.
Or like,
do I have to watch the girl? Okay.
Like really critical, but also still not helpful, like Helen Cooper.
Right.
Or Harry Cooper, who, I mean, this Harry Ben thing.
Yeah, right. That's, I mean, it's a classic set of foils.
Yeah. Well,
Cooper, nothing about him seems like he's a bad guy, but you just like hate him so much. Like he seems like an irascible asshole, but like he doesn't seem truly villainous.
Well, but the introduction to him is realizing that he did not come up and save them.
Right.
When he could have.
Well, but I do buy his explanation.
I do, but he lies. That's the thing.
He
says,
right.
I didn't hear you guys, we didn't know what was going on. But then later, he gets caught in that lie because he says, like, Barbara was screaming a lot. And it's like, okay, well, clearly you heard that a woman was up there who needed help.
That's true.
And it is, like, Ben is a little too much, why didn't you save the woman? Or, like, why didn't you come up and save the woman who clearly needed help? It's like, look, we're not in a normal situation here.
Right, yeah, we're figuring it out.
Like, every man for himself. You gotta live, and you've got a kid, and
But I guess the implication of Cooper is that his real downfall is that he cares more about being right than anything.
I think he cares more about surviving and his family. It's weird.
But there's times where but it's about him getting stuck in just needing to be right and not.
I think Ben needs to
too.
be right just as much as Cooper does. Like,
no, you're
Ben
right.
deciding, Ben saying, you guys can go downstairs, but don't take Barbara.
Right.
It's
That's
not like
weird.
he doesn't care about Barbara.
Right.
It's like a control thing.
Well, no, I think he does care about her.
I don't think he does.
A little bit. I guess you're right.
Does. He's like helping her and stuff, but it's
Right.
very much from that.
He's mostly annoyed by her.
Yeah, he's annoyed by her.
When she's telling her sob story, he's just like rolling his eyes and like, maybe you should stop talking right now.
Even though like he just told his sob story.
He's definitely very quick to be annoyed by her.
Ben is an amazing character.
Yes.
But I do think
partly
that
for subtle flaws.
Right.
Yeah.
Like him hitting Barbara.
Right.
And him shooting Harry Cooper in the end.
Yeah, right.
Because right before then, so Cooper is like not helping Ben. Ben is getting overrun by zombies. Cooper looks like he's about to turn his back and not save Ben. The very last minute he does, and it's like he gets this slight redemption. But Ben's still angry with him because he hesitated. And so Ben punches him and then eventually shoots him.
Yeah.
So
he shoots him after he becomes a zombie, doesn't he?
No.
I thought his daughter attacked him.
He shoots Ben, or he shoots Mr. Cooper.
Oh, and then
Mr. Cooper stumbles downstairs to die alongside his family.
Yeah.
And sees his daughter eating Helen. Apparently, it was originally supposed to be that Helen walks upon in upon Harry Cooper eating the daughter, but it was decided that was too dark and creepy.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
Yeah, a dad eating their child.
Dad eating their child this much. But yeah, but the child killing the mother, fun.
The screams are just unworldly.
I want more of that shit in like horror movie. Like that's so fun. Like that sort of instead of just like straightforward screams. You know what this movie actually was making me think of, or researching and stuff? Remember that movie, The Vast of Night?
Yeah.
That's so influenced by this. That's a movie you should just check out, I think. That's like a really cool movie.
Interesting. How do you think it's influenced?
Because, well, I mean, that's the movie that's just about the news broadcasting people. But, like, it's you know, just how much you can sustain tension just from people talking and listening to things. Also, I guess it reminded me of The Man from Earth, too, which is an interesting sci-fi movie that the action is it's like a play. It's just sort of like people discussing an idea, and that's how the story advances.
This is like a play.
It really is.
Because it's just such a small cast of characters in the house. I thought it was really interesting that until Ben comes on the scene, obviously there's like dialogue between Barbara and her brother Johnny, but once Johnny dies, it's this stretch of the movie where it's a silent film. Yeah. Essentially. Like you're watching action and then Ben comes on and he's talking a bit, but still there's not dialogue back and forth because Barbara can't contribute at all to a conversation. And then you're hearing the radio, which is filling the silence that you're not getting from dialogue, which gives you something to listen to as you're watching things happen.
The news just seems so authentic because the guy wrote his own copy, and he was a newscaster.
Yeah.
And just like it just seems... So the low budgetness works with it so well because it seems like they've just like scrabbled together some kind of local news station responding to this crisis and stuff. So
I heard there was a brief moment where they were a little worried that people were gonna react to it like the Orson Welles.
Yeah, right.
But so it was like this weird like lack of dialogue until the Coopers show up, and then there's this huge debate about upstairs versus downstairs, like where you should hide out, and that's like the most dialogue that's happened thus far in the movie.
Yeah. The movie always gives you what you didn't realize you needed because you're like you're down to just hang out and like exist in this weird space and feel threatened, but the fact that there's this like whole clown car of people like underground, you're like, oh yeah, great, right. Let's have a bunch of people, right, people, right.
It just breathes this life. It does. I mean, you immediately hate like Mr. Cooper.
But it's this whole other set of people that you're like, because you spent so long just like slowly getting to know some details about Ben and Barbara, and then all of a sudden this like whole other world is like present,
right,
with all of this backstory, and all this other stuff,
and of course the big debate,
right, the basement versus
not basement, and
escape versus not escape too.
Yeah, and I mean it seems like Harry Cooper was correct.
Yeah, in the end, right. That's part of the irony of Ben's death is he had to go to the basement. I guess maybe if he'd stayed in the basement even after that, it would have been safer.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know,
I mean, all the zombies would have been killed. He would have emerged.
Right. I do love that just in the end, like, the zombies left eventually. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Ben's alone in the house. There's no more zombies outside. But it's just like, they just left.
Yeah, they seemed like
they got bored.
Pretty soon to be bored, actually. You could watch in real time, they're banging against the cellar door, and then they kind of just wander off.
Listen, we've sunk an hour and a half into this. Let's just cut our losses right now. We've got most of the people. Oh, Ben, just another thing I wanted to talk about, like, making Ben like such a cool character. There's just like this one part where he's loading the shotgun with a cigarette in his mouth. They just do such a good job. Such great iconography.
I thought it was interesting. They come into the farmhouse for the first time, and you see dead animals on the walls.
Taxidermy.
Yeah, it's a hunting place.
Yeah.
And that conveys to you there's guns in the house. So it's it's kind of like that.
That's true.
That gun thing. But also I feel like maybe it wasn't intentional, but it's foreshadowing, an indication of who lives in this area. And foreshadowing like what kinds of people are gonna come in the end and be, quote, rescuers, unquote. The ones who kill Ben.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I found
think it also evokes death and preserves dead people too.
Sure.
Dead things.
So yeah, the animals on the walls didn't come back to life.
Right.
Neither did the woman upstairs who they first found.
Right. Well, so yeah, they also added in the line that's like the recently dead are coming back to life because they couldn't afford to animate skeletons or whatever. Like it's like, it's just, there's a cutoff of a couple weeks, I think, right? Yeah.
Wait, so that woman upstairs has been dead for a long time?
I think the premise with that is she's just eaten. They ate her up.
She was like
it's just eyeballs and skulls. Yeah, right.
I see.
But that is one of the things that they never explain.
Yeah.
Like you do wonder about that.
Right.
But so the people who come to save at the end, the mob that comes. The other iconic line of the movie was ad-libbed.
Yeah. What are the exact words? It's like they're all messed up.
They're dead. They're all messed up.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just like that's just like how do you get that line in there? Like that's it's so funny. Like it's a great joke.
Funny.
It plays every time.
It is funny.
And but it's true. Like it's like what else could you say?
Yeah.
It's so it's just accurate. But he's also I guess downplaying it. Like he's trying to say like they're just wimps, right? Like it's the kind of thing that like a macho guy would say in the face of this threat.
I guess so. Yeah.
He's like, oh no, they're just dead. They're all messed up.
It's just, we watched a documentary about this movie, and it pointed out how the men in this mob seem to really enjoy getting the chance to kill people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's totally true. Like they do, it's not like they actively seem like they're having fun, but they're clearly, getting a thrill out of it.
Yeah, no,
and that's horrifying to watch.
Right, and you've seen them sort of like when they come together in the end. They're like a well-oiled machine. They're getting really good at it, and like they can tell they're just like they've accommodated to the new reality fully. And
it makes you wonder how many people like Ben did they accidentally kill,
right?
And also, was it an accident?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that no way to know the answer, but also I think the answer is obviously it wasn't an accident.
You think so? I mean, he was holding a gun, and I guess we've never seen them holding guns.
I don't know. I just I mean, I think that.
Because they didn't play the characters.
I think it's just there's
that.
They didn't play the characters like that. You're right.
Aside from them being, bloodthirsty mobs, but they were just like, oh, there's one, shoot him between the eyes.
So honestly, I'll tell you another thing that I kind of do like about them not being so explicit with the racism is I don't know if this is like how reflective this was at the time of most people, but I bet that was the case too with a lot of people too. Is that a lot of racism was just sort of under the surface stuff. Do you know what I mean? And there's so much tension between, like, Mr. Cooper, and so much more tension than he has with Ben versus, like, the other characters. So that you could assume that, like, maybe this just kind of did reflect the way that a lot of people were racist.
Yeah.
Was just sort of casually just, like, I don't like that guy. You know what I mean? And, like, not explicitly saying why.
Yeah.
Or,
And then it coming to such an extreme that they're okay with casually just killing Ben.
They don't even give it a second thought.
Yeah.
And
Which makes it so chilling.
It makes it horrible. Yeah, way worse, right?
Yeah,
right.
despite the fact that at that point, there's no more threat for the zombies. I mean, that's one of the most effective parts about it.
Yeah.
There's two different kinds of monsters in this movie.
No, and that's always what's got to happen with a zombie movie, is because the zombies are they're not enough for a movie.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be what happens when you've got this threat that forces you to take on a new kind of life where you have to be a fighter or you have to be a survivor. Right. And are you equipped to do that with what your surroundings have offered you?
But there's different types of survivors. So Ben is the type of survivor who wants to always he wants to fight and he wants to have an out. He wants to be able to run, try to escape. He doesn't like sitting still. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he's so against the cellar, not because he necessarily thinks that it I don't think he's really basing it off of what is the safest. I think he does not like the idea of being cooped up in a basement.
Right.
And
being coopered up?
Being coopered up, yeah. He doesn't like that idea. He wants to have control of his surroundings. And Harry Cooper is more cowardly, but also more prudent, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, in some ways. Go through the rest of the plot a little bit. Basically, like, all that happens is they really just, like, they get the TV out, they make a plan that's to go to this gas pump that's on the property. Like, the property just has, like, a gas pump on there, which I guess farms do. Or did.
I guess. I don't know.
You grew up on a farm or something?
Well, I saw a gas pump, I think, once at somebody's backyard.
I saw a gas pump once. That's cool. Just in someone's backyard. So they go to this gas pump, right? everything gets all messed up.
Wait, I want to talk about how it gets messed up. He accidentally sprays gasoline all over the car.
Right.
This is Tom who does it.
Tom and Ben are going to go to the gas pump, and Tom shoots a fateful last worried look at his love, Judy, before he leaves the door. Shouldn't have done that, and it makes her too worried, so she runs out to help them.
Yeah, although I was not convinced that she's the reason. Like, it's not like he was so flustered because of Judy that he accidentally sprayed gasoline over the car. He's just scared, and he just blew his load a little too early.
I know, it wasn't Judy entirely.
It was Tom just messed up, and it's just, when you see that happening, you're like, no, like, don't, because it's just such a stupid mistake, and it's a mistake I've made. Like, I used to get a lot of anxiety trying to, like, fill my car up with gas. Like, I lived in Pennsylvania, and I used to drive to New Jersey just so that they'd pump my gas for me, because you're not allowed to pump your gas there. So, yeah, and I remember one time I accidentally sprayed gasoline all over my car. So it happens, you know?
It's terrifying. That's horrifying. This movie has the best Molotov cocktails in cinema.
That could be true.
Those Molotov cocktails are kick-ass. Just the thought...
I want to make one.
I know, don't you just... It really makes it... It's like... You too, folks. Just go to the second floor of your farmhouse. Toss a Molotov cocktail out in the yard. It's really fun. It's great. I love these Molotov. I probably watched this movie around the time when I learned the term Molotov cocktails. And I was like, oh, that's the thing. They're doing it right in a regular house. Anyways. So yeah, fire, bad.
Yeah. Did you hear one of the crew members accidentally got set on fire?
Well, they purposely set the people that were zombies getting lit on fire with no protective equipment. And the strategy was roll around on the ground if the fire is too bad.
Yeah, I believe actually it was Russo.
Yeah, right.
Who was one of the co-writers.
Yeah.
And then Hinsman, maybe?
Okay.
Who was the zombie from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Who was also one of the main people involved in making this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they volunteered.
Yeah.
But another guy who did not volunteer to be set on fire was supposed to reignite the seat that was, that Ben lights on fire and pushes out. He was supposed to relight it and accidentally got caught on fire.
Not surprised.
I mean, low budget movie.
$114,000.
Yeah, and I think it made
250 times its budget, sort of setting the template for many horror movie successes.
Okay, so the copyright issue.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so they changed the title and forgot to add the copyright, and everybody seemed to be like, oh, well, I'll take advantage of this situation, and it became public domain. That's kind of dick move. You should do the right thing and pay them for the movie that you're showing, instead of being like, oh, I can get away with not paying for this movie.
To be fair, Romero seems kind of about it. I guess how else could you be?
Yeah, I think he was a little better.
I'm sure he was better, but...
I think that was one of the reasons why they tried to do the remake, because then they could gain ownership of it again. But I read this thing about how the fact that it was so freely available and you could just have all these different home video copies of it might have added to its popularity, because you would just pass them around, kind of like Grateful Dead.
Yeah. The Living Dead is kind of a similar sort of oxymoronic concept as the Grateful Dead. We've barely even talked about New Hollywood. So many films of its era and so many things of its era, Vietnam permeates this film entirely. Its political dimension is so textual. The 60s it doesn't just make this movie resonate, it's what makes this movie possible. This idea of a societal breakdown, and this idea of watching this horror on the news, all of these things, these were new concepts. These literal ideas that the movie is hinting on are actually what gives the movie teeth. Maybe you don't agree.
No, I do. I mean, it's I know Romero was very influenced by the newsreels of Vietnam, and people were watching horrific things.
And also just the idea of pushing the taboo of people have to be naturally pushed in a certain direction, I guess, before you can even think about pushing the taboo of can we show a girl killing her mom, or organ eating and stuff, cannibalism,
Yeah, you think if it wasn't Vietnam, that they wouldn't have been ready to show that in a movie.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I feel like this movie is so verite, and it's so trying to feel ripped from the headlines,
which is so interesting, obviously, because it's a supernatural thing.
supernatural, but that's the thing about it, is something about it, you know, obviously, like, they sort of don't really fully explain the explanation, but it's seeming that it's some kind of Venus probe or something that they say. But it doesn't matter why it's happening. It's just, this is happening. What are you going to do right now? What happens next in this scenario?
Yeah. I mean, and it's, people, I think, obviously felt powerless watching this war that they didn't agree with happening, and felt like it was a situation they just had to accept or choose not to accept, but feeling like it wasn't making a difference either way.
Right, yeah, like, that's the thing, is this is 68, you know, obviously, like, this most famous violent year in American history, and he says that at that point it already felt like the 60s had failed, which is a little pessimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
true.
Ben fights off the zombies,
right.
He does everything he can, and then he survives it, but then dies at the end. It is a pessimistic movie.
Yeah.
That was Vietnam Corner.
I guess that was about Vietnam. But no, just, you know, the newsreel footage, any sort of a helicopter and stuff, the
People on fire.
People on fire, right. That's another thing, the self-immolation, the guerrilla style fighting of the mob at the end, like, it all has a lot of very direct Vietnam resonance.
Okay, this is an independent film.
Yes.
What does that mean? And what does that mean within the new Hollywood context?
I think this has a lot of the things that came to characterize independent film, like, stylistically, later on.
Such as?
The non-professional acting.
I heard Dwayne Jones was very bitter about how everybody's referenced non-professional acting. And he was like, well, I'm a professional actor.
Right.
Just because I worked alongside non-professional actors doesn't mean everybody in that movie was a non-professional actor.
No, it's true. It's a real shame. Because I honestly think, you know, there's, like, they're fine acting. It's kind of like, it almost accomplishes that Bogdanovich thing of making the film feel older or more real or something than it is. You know, it's like having these people who are just acting in an acting style that's already a little out of date. But something about the sensibilities, like, you know, it's got this exploitation aspect, which is something that is a trend associated with what became independent film, which is just sort of like, again, pushing these taboos. Let's try and show stuff that we can't show in mainstream works because there's a market for people who don't have an internet to watch crazy porn and stuff yet. So they want to go see a movie that has somebody eating dog shit or something in it. And I think that Night of the Living Dead certainly has those aspects.
It definitely does. The fact that it was such a success, I think probably encouraged a lot of other people to make their own independent movies. The midnight movie aspect of Living Dead feels very New Hollywood. Dark ending, unusual narrative structure.
Mistrust in institutions.
Right. Yeah, the paranoia, breaking down of the family structure type thing.
No, more violence.
There's
a lot to talk about this movie. We could keep going on and on about it. That we could talk about the fact that the original script was going to be a takeoff on Bergman's Virgin Spring called The Whine of the Fawn. That Romero later changed to something more commercial.
I did not hear about that. I heard about other ideas.
Right. The teenagers meeting aliens, right?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be... I heard that one of the original ideas was it was going to be an alien comedy that was about hot-rodding alien teens who would visit Earth, meet up with human teenagers, and cause mischief along with the help of a cosmic pet called The Mess. And then another idea was like a boy runs away from home and discovers a field of corpses under glass, which were rotting to the liking of the aliens that were then going to consume them, and that sounds pretty cool.
That does sound cool. You're describing this movie, I'm like, take me there, Kurosawa, or something. You know?
It sounds so awesome.
Yeah.
And Romero was like, the flesh-eating part, I like that. So that's what they kept about it. But, okay, what's the thing you just said?
The Whine of the Fawn?
Yeah.
Virgin Spring, which was later remade as an American exploitation film, Last House on the Left, was just going to be, they wanted to make a movie about, like, medieval teenagers. Very into teens.
Very different movie. The medieval teens thing reminds me of another movie Romero made, apparently, called Night Riders. Have you heard of this one?
No, he's made so many movies.
It's about a troupe of people that, like, dress up like knights and ride around on motorcycles jousting each other and performing. Yeah,
that certainly sounds like he's still had this kicking around in his mind for a while.
Teen
we gotta watch more Romero movies.
Yeah, I guess we should. Yeah, I want to see that I want to see knights on motorcycles.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could talk more about Dwayne Jones if you want.
It's sad that I think he didn't like the reputation it created for him.
Yeah. He was in some other movies. He was in Ganja and Hess, a very famous movie in its own way and stuff. And he was a real actor. He probably had talents to give beyond Night of the Living Dead, but unfortunately, Night of the Living Dead just turned out to be so important and so huge that I'm sure it was very difficult to escape.
He apparently never saw another Romero movie.
It's such a shame.
It is a shame.
He really shaped this character. He is the author of Ben fully, more or less. Right?
Ben was originally supposed to be like a rough truck driver whose dialogue was very simple.
Gruff and uneducated. Yeah. And Dwayne Jones, he ad-libbed like his entire... This whole scene where he's breaking apart the table to board it up and telling his story about running into all the zombies. That's just him ad-libbing and stuff, making that up. You know what I mean? His monologue there. He is the one who reflected that the character needed to be a very well-educated person who's sort of caught in this podunk town. Seemingly like you assume that he's this person who really was not supposed to be here today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that there's something about that really adds to why you like the character so much, because like he's not even like one of these characters who's just like, listen lady, you gotta listen to me. He's like, now just please try and remain calm, we can figure this out, like you know, and stuff. He's really talking to you. Like he's not just like, he's a person who understands emotions, but he understands when you need to put them aside and stuff, you know?
No, it's so interesting because he is like the classic hero type. He's like brave and he's like helping the woman who's helpless. And you'd think that would be annoying, but it's just not. Right. It's just the way he plays it.
Yeah.
He's just a great guy.
Very likable. Yeah. Again, just like rare to see characters so likable in horror movies. All of the other characters are your kind of classic horror movie, impossible to be around people.
Yeah.
But Ben's a friend in hard times.
The movie does not present female characters well.
No.
Obviously. Barbara's so useless. Originally, she was supposed to be written as a charismatic, strong character, but they just liked how the actress, Judith O'Dea, and they just liked the way that she was portraying this like helpless woman, that they're like, okay, yeah, do that.
Yeah, I mean, I told you in the remake, that is the big change that I remember. Barbara starts off exactly the same, like she's catatonic. But then halfway through the movie, she just has this flip where she's like, no, we gotta get out there and fight. And like the last 15 minutes of the movie is like, she goes commando. She's got a shotgun. She's got a headband around her head. I mean, it's like full on that. Rips the sleeves off her shirt.
I mean,
and it's like shooting zombies. Goes off into the forest and it's like killing them. She eventually comes back and finds Ben as a zombie and has to kill him.
Because they almost do that in this movie, where at the end she finally starts fighting back a little bit, but she's not good at it and she dies. Johnny comes and gets her.
Though all the men suck too, except Ben.
No, but
the women are terrible in a very boring way that's not developed.
And then Judy, like you mentioned, is just kind of bored by the whole thing.
That's so funny though.
It is funny.
Like she's just like, really? Like zombies. Okay.
And Helen is.
I kind of like her. She seems kind of cool.
She's. It's cool that she is so annoyed by her husband Harry Cooper, who's her actual husband in real life.
Yeah, right.
Which is fun. You think that she's cool because of that, because Harry Cooper sucks, and you're like, okay, Helen must be cool that she hates him. But she says something to him like, "Why don't you go do something useful?" But she never does anything useful in the movie. She name one thing that Helen does that's useful in that movie.
Smokes the hell out of that cigarette. She can ash a cigarette like nobody's business.
They don't give her anything to do either. And then there's this really annoying part when Tom, the young guy who's with them, is like, well, why don't all three of us just work together? And it's he's not even considering the fact that there are more than 3 people in this house. Like he's clearly only talking about the men. And it's like there are at this point non-catatonic women around, so like you could at least consider them in your plans, but no.
To be fair, the women don't seem to want to be part of the plans either. But no, you're totally right.
That way.
No, obviously, I'm sorry. I shouldn't make a joke like that. But no, the female characters are in no way a reflection of a progressive mindset.
Yeah, the best female character is the naked ghoul.
Hey, she's body positive. She's freeing the nipple, freeing the butt.
And then also maybe Marilyn Eastman, who plays Helen Cooper, also plays one of the zombies just like eating bugs out of a tree.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of fun.
That is kind of cool. The daughter's kind of a cool character.
Yeah, the daughter, it's interesting. It's this like, you know that she's going to be a zombie. Watching.
Right.
You know that because you have seen all these other zombie movies where somebody gets bit or scratched.
And it's a sympathetic character, right?
Yeah, and it's like you're slowly watching them getting sick and then becoming a zombie. I don't know should we assume that she died and that's why she became a zombie, or should we assume that there is like an infectious element to getting bit by a zombie in this world?
It seems like it's you die and then you come back.
Yeah.
Right.
So she just must have died down there from her wounds.
Yeah, I think so.
And then came back.
Yeah, she's dead.
She's dead.
Yeah.
I heard that they didn't tell Dwayne Jones that she was going to come up at the end and grab him.
He's like, get away.
Yeah. So that was like genuine surprise.
That's hilarious. That girl looks great. They use her for the cover art because she is iconic, like so many things.
She looks creepy.
That Lizzie McGuire horror episode that we watched did I'm pretty sure, direct parody of her.
Ooh.
With Lizzie was like painted.
That.
Lizzie was pretty much painted to be just like her, doing the thing.
Yeah.
Right to the camera.
Yeah. You know, in our movie marathon, we watched that Lizzie McGuire episode. We also watched Zombievers. Mm-hmm. Which is definitely just doing Night of the Living Dead, but then like changing it a bit.
It's also doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which has a kind of similar ending, but totally different ending. But
yeah, okay. There's the person survives the end
zombies.
just to be killed by a human.
Yeah, they're zombies, so it's doing Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
you're right.
But also, there's just so many direct tropes. Yeah.
No, yes, the ironic death at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
But more than that.
No. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, I keep going back to just trying to affirm that you're right about it being a reference to Night of the Living Dead. But Zombievers. That's an interesting movie. You should check it out.
You liked it more than I did.
It's a weird movie. I liked it less this time than when I saw it originally.
Wow.
But
maybe my negative energy brought you down.
You strongly disliked it? I thought you said you liked it.
You know, I think at the time I said I liked it, but now thinking back, I actually don't think it's that good of a movie.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, like, I think that watching it, like, the second time, I was kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get back to Night of the Living Dead. Enough Zombievers. I mean, that might be it, though.
It might be
done.
it. Look, it's a movie that's got a lot of social commentary. Who knows what the zombies represent? The zombies represent whatever you want them to represent.
It's change.
Whatever, change or lack of change. Like, it could literally be, like, people who want to change or people who don't want to change.
Right.
You know?
But the movie is amazing.
Yes. Highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
So go see it.
Good for any time of year, especially Halloween, which this will be coming out way after. So
maybe it'll take
a year
long.
from now.
Yeah.
That'll be funny.
We have no idea what we're doing next. So you'll be as surprised as we are.
It will be fun.
All right, that's our show. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out on social media. Thank you to The Illuminator for our artwork. And remember, guys, we're a new podcast, so if you could leave a comment or just a like, that would really help us out. Thank you. Bye.